hey, this is a bizarre and hilarious story if it weren't also incredibly scary. Donald Trump is regularly shredding and ripping up documents that are legally supposed to be preserved. Like the shredding that he's doing is in violation of the law. And staffers are admitting that they walk around the White House using Scotch tape to put the documents back together. You couldn't write a wackier Saturday Night Live skit. Trump staffers follow him around, picking up bits of paper and sticking them back together with tape. And Solomon Lardy and Reginald Young Jr. spoke to Politico about this. They were formerly in this role. Imagine putting pieces of paper back together. And they spoke to Politico and said, yeah, this is what we used to do. And Lardy was a, quote, records management analyst, which is just, when we think about George Orwell's 1984, can you think of a better term for somebody who walks around behind Trump taping pieces of paper back together than a records management analyst? With 30 years of experience, he would use exclusively the clear type of Scotch tape to look through piles of shredded paper and put them back together like jigsaw puzzles. And what's going on is that Donald Trump reportedly rips up pieces of paper when he's done with them. And many are official documents that need to be stored because of this law called the Presidential Records Act, which eventually gets sent to the National Archives. And to add even more stupidity to it, Trump would rip them up and sometimes throw them on the floor. And staffers with decades of experience would go around picking pieces of paper up and taping them back together. One example from staffers is an official letter from the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer. Definitely something that needs to be archived. Trump just ripped it up and tossed it on the floor. And the White House was asked to comment about this. And of course, we've gotten no comment from them at all. Lardy and Young, the two staffers in question, they're no longer taping papers back together, but they did say that they have knowledge as recently as a couple of months ago that other people had been assigned to tape papers back together that Donald Trump had ripped up. Is anybody else concerned that Trump is treated like a little kid? We know about propaganda o'clock. Twice a day, Trump gets this stack of papers. It's basically a propaganda briefing where it's pictures of him in media looking powerful and strong. It's positive reports, mostly from Fox News and online right-wing websites. And in addition to that, treating Trump like a kid, we now find out that they're not even trying to train him to stop ripping up presidential records. They just have a team that tapes them back together. And when I think about how Trump even got into this habit, right? Like how does a 71-year-old adult get into the habit of regularly destroying documents related to the work that he's doing? I think it goes back to Trump's business, right? It must have been a regular habit of Trump's from doing his business work that his instinct has become to immediately delete or rip up paper communications. And it's been ingrained in him from a career of, I guess, obfuscation and possible criminality, but it's not normal. It's not normal. And I was thinking ahead to when the Trump Presidential Library is opened, it would be great to have framed papers that have clearly been taped back together with Scotch tape, and then maybe even bags of shredded documents. That would be a really great thing for the Trump Presidential Library. Here's the bag of papers that Trump shredded when the North Korea deal went haywire. And I would love to hear from a Trump supporter, right? I know that there are Trump supporters who watch the show, who listen to the show. Get in touch with me and explain how you defend this, okay? Tell me why it is that we shouldn't be concerned that Donald Trump is ripping up papers in violation of the Presidential Records Act. And by the way, wasn't another one of Trump's criticisms of Hillary Clinton that she was wiping hard drives and destroying records, but he's doing the exact same thing? He's using an unsecured mobile phone, as we reported a couple of weeks ago, even though he said Hillary Clinton's email server was the problem. He said Hillary Clinton was destroying records, and yet he's destroying records and staffers are walking around after him, taping them back together with clear Scotch tape. The one silver lining, and I like to try to find a silver lining. The one silver lining is that the documents Trump has read and is ripping up are probably not very long because we know Donald Trump doesn't read long documents. I guess that's the silver lining. That's the only one I can come up with.